Happy in the kitchen. Hi, I'm Phil. Welcome to Pretty Good Cooking.
Pretty good.
Tonight on the show, we're going to teach you how to make a mushroom and garlic white pizza. Last week we filmed cheesy bread. This week, we're also filming cheesy bread. It's just got more shit on it. So, if you please, come along with me and I'll teach you how to make it. Hi, Vinny. How you doing, buddy? You wanna come up for the ride? Ugh. The first step today is to preheat your oven to 450 degrees, which is pretty hot. All right, Vinny, that's enough. Off you go. By the way, check your oven to see if you got a rack on the bottom of the oven, because that's where we're gonna proof the pizza. All right, I did. I confirmed that I did. Now that the oven's preheating, you can pour a little drink of poo. All right, I tell you what, I am a happy Phil, and I'll tell you why. I found ancient aged 10-star in a plastic handle for the first time in months. That's right, billed by some as the poor man's Blanton's, this handle of fine bourbon can be purchased for $25. Something like that, I don't actually know. I know the liter is $16. It is produced and manufactured and bottled by Buffalo Trace, who makes Blanton's, but it's not marketed as Buffalo Trace whatsoever. In fact, it says it's made by Ancient Age Distilling Company in Frankfurt. This shit, honestly, it's not a poor man's Blanton's. Don't kid yourself. But it is an easy sipping bourbon and it's economical. You know there's nothing I like more than a good value. Now, being that it's Tuesday night, you may have guessed that I already had one of these. Now I'm gonna have another one. All right. Okay, so we're gonna make this pizza grandma style. It's not a grandma pie. If you ever been in the PGC Discord channel, which odds are you haven't, you will have seen many discussions of grandma pies, which I still have not had. Don't really know what they are. Don't know if I care to know. But all I can tell you is that this is not grandma pie. All right, so we're gonna start today by ripping some parchment paper and putting it on our baking sheet. And hopefully this will prevent the old pizza from sticking. We're not making dough tonight. I don't know if I'm ever gonna make dough on the show. This is a no dough show. Other people make the dough. That's why I have friends, so that they will make the dough for any recipe that requires dough. But when I don't have friends, or when there's a global pandemic and they're not available, I like to buy my dough from the deli at Lucky's Market. And today, our Rubenesque fellow, I only mentioned that he was Rubenesque in that he truly had the proportions of a Rubenesque character, slapped this dough in a deli bag and sold it to me as a sourdough bread. I think he was new. This is 1 1/3 pounds, so you can see that it's a fine elastic. All right. And I don't f with dough. I really just don't. So the way I'm gonna stretch it out, grandma style, is like this. I'm gonna let gravity do some of that work. And whatever this conjures up for you, don't think about that. Whatever it does, don't. All right. When working with dough, maybe you wanna get an overstretched thing rather than an understretched thing. What does it make a pizza? You do the twirl, right? Shapow! And then do nothing. And I tell you what, it's supposed to be like a rectangle, but you know, if it's not, it'll just be artisanal. Artisanal pizza. Grandma Phil. That's not me. Never known anyone named that by that name. All right, that seems fine to me. Is it perfect? No. Is it gonna be a pizza? You bet your ass. You bet your ass. Oh, it's good. It's all right, hang on a second here. I might need to get a little flour. All right, here's my white flour. Don't need a lot, but I'm just hit this with a little flour because it's giving me problems, okay? If dough gives you problems, you put a little flour on it, okay? So just put a little more flour there. Some guy that works with dough is gonna be watching this and being like, no, that's not right. Now, if you want, you could use a rolling pin. I bet you that's really the way to go. It's fine. This is fine. This is what it's gonna be. This is fine. All right, might have a little thick pie. Now this shit's gonna go right in the oven. That's right, this is gonna bake that bread. It's gonna be a bread. Now one thing to think about, if you got excess paper, it might burn. So if you want to struggle bus cut it, you could, which is what I'm doing now. You know, the easiest way to cut anything with a pair of scissors is to hold it up in the air. and move it around while you're cutting. That's a little tip my mom taught me. All right, so we will throw that into the oven to, it's kind of like par baking. The lowest side of the oven, according to the recipe I'm vaguely following, for about 7 minutes. Great. Now on to other things, bigger and better things. The reason we're making this tonight is that I traded Emily, who is friends with Brett, I think former roommates as well. I gave her some homegrown garlic and she gave me these local mushrooms. These are from Swainway. And it's just huge ass oyster mushrooms. And so we're gonna fry these up. We're gonna put it all over the pizza like this. I'm gonna do this on a pizza. All right, let's chop those. Now with oyster mushrooms, I think that the bottom part, this bit, is a little bit tough. So you would probably want to remove that. And then I think for our purposes, doing kind of a more vertical slice like so is gonna be the way to go. Chop off the end and slice how you like. You could keep some of them whole if you want, or you could use mixed mushrooms. It doesn't really matter, but I think this will taste good. I think oyster mushrooms, generally speaking, are pretty mild mushrooms, but they're fun because they grow in these, these clumps, these clusters. And so oyster mushrooms often are used as a meat substitute because when you cook them, they can kind of like replicate a little bit of the texture for some types of cooked meat. That's about as educational as this particular episode's gonna get. All right, so this looks like a shitload of mushrooms, but remember, mushrooms shrink when you cook them, and we got a whole pizza, right? So let's get a big pan. Here's our big pan. What's that white schmutz on the outside? It's dishwasher detergent, I think. Not really. It's probably something from our water, like trace minerals. Probably what it is. Actually, we want quite a bit of olive oil. Don't hold back on the olive oil here, because we're gonna fry these up. And we don't really need to wait for it to heat up. You can if you want, but just go ahead and get those mushies in there, and they will cook down. Don't you worry. Be back shortly, very shortly. All right, over here, gotta prepare our white sauce, which is just cheese. It's just cheese. Sometimes white sauce can take on other forms, but today it'll be ricotta. Most people only know ricotta from lasagna. That's really all I know it from. Can't f***ing open this thing. I'm gonna stab it with a knife. Tell you what, can't get into something, try a knife. That's not legal advice, that's practical advice. All right, our pizza's been pre-baked. And you can see, because I'm dumb, it's pretty poofy. But it'll come down, no problem. It's just gonna be a thick pizza. But don't you worry about the thick pizza. Don't you worry about it. It's gonna be good. Also, don't stomp on a pizza like I just did. No need to do that. Our mushies need a long time. They need a long time. They need to get crispy. Maybe let's turn up the heat a little bit on them. While we're at it, let's give them some salt. Salting them will draw out some of the moisture so they'll crisp up faster. That's how salt works. That's why you salt things. Also, it tastes good. Okay, back to the ricotta. We need about a half cup of ricotta. This is a full cup, but it's maybe shocking to some of you. On the inside, there's a little doodad that marks the halfway point. And you know what? That looks close enough to a half cup. It's a little bit past half, but it's not full. Close enough. To this, we will add some cheese. You need about 4 ounces of cheese, which is about a cup. So between these two, I'm gonna eyeball it. Probably about a cup of cheese right there. And you want that low moisture, although it's almost all low moisture. That's the pizza cheese. To this, we're gonna add some olive oil. Here it is, the olive oil. I'm gonna use the rest of the bottle. Dang, good thing I got a backup. And we need to add some garlic. I got that homegrown. Nothing better than homegrown garlic. Now you could take this a couple different ways if you wanted to. Look at how pretty that is. Nice purple garlic. You could finely mince it. You could also just slice it like a topping. I think I'm gonna do both. I think I'm gonna mince a little bit into this mixture. I think I'm also gonna put some on a pizza. Actually, I might fry some with that. That mushy good. All right. Whew. Smells good. Homegrown garlic a lot of times is spicier than your old grocery store garlic. Is that good, and also good. All right, and we'll mince that up. 2 cloves. These are small cloves, so this is probably like the average of 1 normal clove, 1 conventional clove if you're a pleb. Don't grow your own garlic. I tell you what, there's some shit talking for you. If you don't grow your own garlic, don't bother making this. You don't get to enjoy this dish. Pop that right in there. My hands are f***ed. This other one we'll just slice. Thin slices of garlic. Alright, and I'm gonna just throw that right in here with the mushies. I think that'll be nice. Okay, now using a spoon or whatever, you just mix this up. And while you're at it, you can salt and pepper it. don't really want to go overboard with the salt because most cheese has salt in it. At the same time, salt is delicious, so look at that. I tell you what, when we melt that down, that's gonna be mighty fine. Got some parsley here from my garden, homegrown parsley. If you don't grow your own parsley, don't bother making this. I already washed it. I tell you what, I'm a lot more careful about washing things these days. Partly because a lot of people are dying, but the other part is that I got sick from eating something in my garden. I didn't wash it though. So coronavirus and bad experience made me a good safety man. Now this parsley, we're gonna throw it in with the mushrooms when they're about done cooking so that it wilts a little bit. I think that'll be nice. All right, so we'll scooch that there. Looks good. I don't think we got anything else to do right now. Just keep cooking these mushies. Check them out though. They're starting to fry up nice. Just lost one. We'll be back in a couple more minutes. All right, this is what you're looking for. You got some nice golden brown mushrooms. They look fabulous. This is the only way to eat mushrooms. I was just telling John, don't even with mushrooms unless you're gonna make them like this. Now, I just turned the heat off in the pan. We'll just go ahead and throw our parsley in there. The residual heat will lightly cook the parsley. I think it'll look nice. Our pizza's supposed to be 16 by 10, but to me that looks like 12 by 8 or something. Like I said, it's not a problem. All right, now spoon this shits over the pizza. This is our sauce. I tell you what, I don't think I would ever choose, if given the options, to have a white pizza, because I think that the red sauce is my favorite part of the pizza. I'm just a sucker for the sauce. It's just how I feel. But I do think this will be delicious. Now when you're spreading it out, you want to give yourself a little bit of room, some semblance of a crust. Maybe use a different tool than what I am. Maybe just do your best. But like I said, you can see just based on this cheese mixture alone, you know it's going to taste good. And it'll melt. All right, next up is going to be our shroom business. Now, up to you, if you got the skills to just like sprinkle these over. I mean, generally speaking, you might want to let these cool a little bit before handling. But I'm just going to see if I can just bap them right out of the pan and try to get a somewhat even spread over the pie. And you got some latitude, right? You can spread them out once they're on there too. That looks pretty good. Okay, something like that. A little more coverage down there. And then this guy will go right in the oven, back at that 450 for about 12 minutes. Let's set a timer. All right, well, see you in a bit. It's pizza time. And here's our pizza, golden brown, thick. Looks great. It's nice and oily too. Look how much oil's coming off. Actually, if you see that much oil, you might want to slide it onto a different container, different thing. We'll just grab another pan. Never mind, I'm just leave it as is. Okay, she's good to go. You can see she didn't stick. Nice and greasy like any pizza should be. See what we got going on inside. Looks like a fully cooked crust, which is, you know, desirable. I think it's fully cooked. If you have a thick crust like this, you might end up having to cook it a little bit longer. We'll find out shortly. But it's probably too hot to even try at this point. So there's that. All right, let's try out this pizza. Now, if you look at this pizza, it looks pretty thick, honestly, for what it should be. But it also looks good to me. I will say, I like thick pizza. So let's give it a taste. That's good. That's really good. It actually has a very straightforward flavor. Like, it's super mushroom, umami. It's cheesy and creamy. I actually would love if there was red sauce with this too, but it's actually really good. I think this is kind of a fun variant. It is actually cooked all the way, thank goodness. But yeah, I like this a lot. Now, I had this idea. Maybe we could take this to the next level. And that is the secret pizza topping of all kinds of hipster places is chili infused honey, Mike's Hot Honey. I think that'll taste really good on this because you have so much umami and creamy flavor. Jesus Christ, why is it not coming out? I'll get it out one way or the other. There we go. So I'm just gonna put a little bit on the edge because I want to try it. But this will add more sweetness and a little bit of spice, which could be really nice. Now that's really good. Wow.
Well,
if you ever find yourself with a lot of mushrooms, this would be a way to eat them in a hurry. And if you can find hot honey, that really takes this dish to the next level. Either way, it is really good. And that's how you do it. So enjoy this also cheesy bread.